I'll take care of that if you want.
Well, hello everyone. It's Alex and Freddie.
Hi.
And Rob.
Hi.
Yeah, we're here for another episode of Blocktalk. We're on Bitcoin block 376276. So let's talk about our sponsors quickly here. We got Quadriga CX. They're exchange based in Vancouver, Canada here, and yeah, they're really great. They do over 150 Bitcoins in volume today. Yeah, check them out. And then we also have our
Airbits.
Yeah, Airbits.
It's Bitcoin's best looking wallet. And we're working on making it extraordinarily easy to use.
Yeah, it is pretty easy, but it's getting better every day.
Yeah, and their edge security is really, really interesting. So we'll talk more about that later. And who else we got as a sponsor?
So we have show sponsors, Coinigy, great group of guys there doing some cool work, developing a nice platform with tools for traders.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to check it out, you can refer us at coinigy.com/blocktalk. Check that link out in the description below. We also have the Rational Investor, Brian Beamish, friend of the show. He's letting me do his program right now, and I'll be doing a review of that later on after the semester is done. And finally, we have Jumbucks, the coolest altcoin around with a great community. They're the biggest fan of the show, and they like to buy us beer. So we're happy to have them.
We love beer.
So let's get on to, I guess, the main event. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So we have our guests of honor here from the hottest dApp around, the Augur project. First off, we have Jeremy.
Howdy, thanks for having us, guys.
Sweet.
So Jeremy Gardner, and what is your role, Jeremy, with the Augur project?
I tell people I do everything except program. Except Joey really does everything and program, so he's way more impressive than me. But I deal with legal, I deal with business operations, I do some marketing stuff, just to make sure everything runs smoothly, keep the gears greased, you know.
Very good.
And we see how you do that. Very good. All right.
Hard-working guy. And then we have your partner in crime, Joey Krug.
Krug.
Krug?
Krug or Krug? Krug.
Krug. He likes to be called Krugman. He's a big fan of Paul.
Very nice. Very nice.
So Joey, tell us about your involvement in the Augur project.
Yeah, so I work on our servant contracts on Ethereum. So basically I write the code for the backend.
And he's our general brand ambassador. Joey tells the whole world what we do in technical lingo, which I can't do.
Okay. Well, yeah, I read your white paper today, and it's probably one of the most complicated ones I've seen in the past 6 months. It took me a couple times to go over it to even kind of grasp the core concept. But yeah, I guess give us a rundown in like fewest words possible. What is Augur and prediction markets?
Sure. We can do the very elevator pitch, which is pretty much, you can think of a decentralized prediction market, just like a unstoppable online peer-to-peer betting platform that predicts the future. That's a one-sentence description. Now, to kind of expand upon that, what you have with Augur is pretty much something that's very similar to the stock market, in that you're buying and selling shares. But instead of buying and selling shares in the future price of a company, you're buying and selling shares in the future outcome of an event. Whether that event is a political election, a climatological event, a sports game, any event with a determinable outcome can be in a prediction market. So you could even have stocks or equities. But the purpose of this, it's not to give a floating value like a stock market does, where the price can range from a few pennies to several $100s. In a prediction market, the price per share ranges from less than a penny to $1. And what that allows is that there are shares being bought, and the shares are either yes or no shares. Depending on how many shares are being bought of each side, you get a price. So let's say more people believe Hillary Clinton is going to be elected president, so maybe it's 55 cents for a yes share, and then correspondingly 45 cents for a no share. And what you get in that sort of scenario where these shares are being bought in a liquid and voluminous market is actually a probability that the crowd has assigned to the event occurring. Because you can take that 55 cents per share, understand it as a 55% probability, because any rational actor in the system is going to buy shares in the other another direction if they believe that's not the probability of her being elected, because it serves as a sort of arbitrage opportunity. What's really unique about this is that it's been found to be one of the most effective ways of kind of forecasting the future, despite being almost a 20-year-old technology, and prediction markets date back much farther than that, but the modern iteration of the prediction market, they've never truly been allowed to flourish. And by kind of decentralizing prediction markets and putting them on the blockchain, we're allowing for a truly global prediction market engine, something that never before has been available to us.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, I guess, sets you guys apart is you're able to sell your share after the fact. It's not just like permanently locked in. There's kind of like a marketplace for it.
Right. So there is an expiration date for markets, but we're going to encourage people to give several days for those markets to expire, so they can sort of auto-resolve themselves, where pretty much everybody that wants to get out can, and then those that want to stay in for an arbitrage opportunity or save on trading fees can do that as well.
Okay. Well, so you guys are currently doing a pre-sale that ends, I guess, in a couple days here on the 1st of October. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So the Crowdsale, the Crowdsale is distributing a token that allows us, because so if you think about a prediction market, you have to have a way to say whether an event occurred or not. You need an oracle to say, yes, Hillary was elected, or no, she was not. Or else there's no incentive to ever sell your shares, So we need a resolution system, and traditionally you'd rely on a third-party API or just an individual party to say yes or no, the event occurred. But in a decentralized system, that constitutes a central point of failure. So instead what we have is this token, and this token allows everyone that owns it to report on the outcome of events, allowing us to have a distributed oracle system or a distributed consensus system. So what we did with the Crowdsale is, in order to give people a game theoretical incentive to actually use that token or report, we had to give it value. And by allowing anybody to buy in and participate and buy some of this token, we distributed consensus to as many people as possible. The Crowdsale began a month and a half ago. We were hoping to raise around $2 to $3 million from about 1,000 people. We thought that would distribute the consensus enough and give us enough of an endowment to kind of move forward properly. Instead, we really had kind of a resounding response to the sale, raised, depending on the day, anywhere from $4.5 million to $5 million, and had over 4,000 people participate. And it's really been astonishing to have that sort of external validation for what we're building, because not only does it mean that people really support what we're doing and are financially supporting kind of the total undertaking of this project, it means that when we launch, we have a really strong distributed consensus system, which is really important to making this to work.
Interesting. So while you were talking, I was just like noticing somehow that your graphic or your logo seems very similar to that of Ethereum, and also your crowdfunder sale, or whatever you want to call it, has been remarkably successful, almost to an Ethereum-like level. So, how do you guys consider yourselves almost like Ethereum-ites, or I'm just curious.
I wouldn't blame our logo for that, but I think we've obviously been deeply influenced by Ethereum, and even more directly so by Vitalik. He's been an advisor to us since early on. We're very close with him. The whole team knows him well. He stayed at our house before. Like, I hang out with Vitalik whenever we're in the same place. He's been our most valuable advisor by a long shot. So he's definitely had a deep influence on us. The design, we actually employed a really great branding team that did it, and I think Ethereum was a logo we pointed to for inspiration. But we definitely didn't try to take off of what they were building or take off of their design. But I think we owe a lot to Ethereum and kind of the community behind it. They've been really supportive. I have so many good things to say about them. I mean, Joey may have another opinion though, so I'll let him give a response as well.
Joey, what's up?
My opinion's pretty much the same. I mean, Ethereum's been really useful for us. Mainly just Vitalik's help with basically like technical issues as well as just like practical things. He's been very helpful. The community's been really supportive. That's really all I have to say about it.
So my question about like I know Vitalik. Well, I don't know him as well as you guys do, but he came down to this space in the first month it was open, and we hung out for a while. He was actually here in Vancouver, and but he was very busy, and I didn't want to bother him too much. So I just give people like that, like him, a lot of space. But my question to you is, how far ahead is he in his vision? I mean, I have a hard time even relating to it. I'm picking it up in as I move through time and space. But can you guys see what he sees, Joey?
Well, I mean, I can't see exactly what he sees because I don't have his mind, right? I'm not like a copy of Vitalik, I guess you could say. But as for like where his vision is at, I think you're right in saying that it is a bit ahead of where like we actually are. So if you look at Ethereum itself, you can see all Vitalik's proposals for scalability, and like his ideas are way ahead of the code base itself. That kind of gives you an idea for how far ahead he's thinking.
Yeah, I mean, Vitalik is probably the smartest person I've ever met. So he's obviously a very forward-thinking individual, and he thinks about a lot of different issues. And so, yes, he's a bit ahead of his time, but we have to keep in mind we all are. I mean, if you're just doing Bitcoin, Bitcoin is still 10 years away from being a mainstream protocol, anything that people would really be using in their daily lives regularly. And so when it comes to Ethereum, that's just like a whole nother level. And it's kind of why some of the hardcore Bitcoiners are like, wait, don't work on Ethereum, let's just get Bitcoin to work really well first. But this space draws innovators, and we're all kind of predisposed to be very forward-thinking. So I think we're all a bit ahead of our time. But yeah, Vitalik's at another level. I mean, Vitalik just, I mean, this guy should just be paid to think professionally. Like he's just like he blows my mind in a lot of ways. But so does Joey. I had to give Joey credit as well. But I mean, amazing the young talent this space has really brought out.
Nice. Okay, so can you do us a favor, Alex? Can you pull up that Sauder School of Business?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Prediction markets. So guys, this is I know like Facebook is so like 2007, but I was going through my Facebook today, and my good buddy Gary Fung, he's the guy that created ISO Hunt up here in Canada, which was one of the first real big torrents in the world. Anyway, he dropped this into his Facebook today, and he said, this prediction market here from the Sauder School of Business from UBC, it's UBC, University of British Columbia, is where Sauder School of Business is. They put this together for every election, and he said this has been more accurate than any other poll that's ever happened in Canada anywhere regarding these elections. And so, are you guys aware of other prediction markets that are happening like in different places? And is this anything here that that's interesting to you at all, or do you see Augur doing the same exact thing in the future? Let's hear what you have to say.
I mean, I think between Joey and I, we know of every prediction market that's probably ever existed.
Wow.
we studied this stuff pretty thoroughly, and yeah, they're an amazing tool. I mean, the way I first got into prediction markets was in 2008 when I was in high school still. I think I was a sophomore, and I made thousands of dollars on the presidential election betting on Barack Obama super early on InTrade, which eventually got shut down. But I did that. I repeated my success in 2012. And there are now some prediction markets. Betfair, actually, which is one of the most popular sports betting websites, in fact, is a prediction market platform. But it's very directed. So are the other ones that exist, such as like the Iowa Electronic Markets or Predictit. I use Predictit, actually, and it's a very cool platform, but it's really limited. You know, the buy orders are limited, sell orders are limited, trading fees are really high, and the number of topics you can bet on is just it's limited, and so its service to kind of humanity is limited as a result. Whereas with Augur, where you can make a market and anyone can make a market for absolutely anything, it opens up a world of possibility that never before existed.
Such as
Decentralized insurance. This is one of my favorite case studies. Let's think about most of the developing world. In the United States, farmers have the awesome luxury of being able to take an insurance plan for their crops. So let's say there's a drought or a flood, all their crops get destroyed. They can get some of their money back and recuperate from their losses. In the developing world, that's not always possible. And so what that means is that farmers often get totally devastated when there's a bad crop cycle, and there's nothing they can do about it. With Augur, I can now go and create a prediction market for the amount of rainfall in some valley in Chile, and say there will be more than 500 millimeters of water that fall in this valley, and I set the odds to 100%. And what a farmer now in Chile can do is they can buy up the other end and say, no, it's not going to rain this much, which would effectively kill their crops, but then create a hedge against their potential loss in the future.
Interesting. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, no.
Very interesting.
Coming from a farming background, like I feel like the stock market and well, markets in general has always been based on the weather and agriculture.
Yeah. Very
Right.
interesting.
I mean, Joey made an interesting point to me the other day, which is that he thinks the most powerful application of Augur, and I think I agree with him after thinking about this a bit, will be its hedging applications. Whether it's in insurance hedging, stock market hedging, political event hedging, but that's really what Augur fundamentally is. It's a hedging tool.
That's so super interesting. Along that sort of line, but different, Joey, what are your biggest challenges with what you're doing with Augur right now? What are you finding most challenging?
Probably scalability. So our system has a unique scaling problem in that when you have most technological systems and you think of scaling, you think of, well, do we have enough computational power to do this? Or is our computer fast enough? Do we have enough bandwidth? With us, it's, do we have enough people, and can we allocate resources effectively to basically have the system work? So in Augur, after an event happens, you basically need real people, which we call reporters, to basically report what happened and coordinate the payout for whatever market you're talking about. And so, you know, like the most naive way to do it would just be say, well, let's have everybody report on everything. But then as you get a lot of markets, that gets really a ton of work. Like you could be working like days straight just reporting, which obviously wouldn't work. So the biggest challenge has been scaling that and basically setting up a system where you get randomly selected to report on certain events. So that way, instead of, you know, spending days reporting, it just takes you a couple hours every few months.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So in terms of, I guess, the legal scene, you guys have kind of put a big target on your back in terms of, like, a lot of these have been shut down, these prediction markets, from being centralized. How are you guys, I guess, securing your funds and your development?
We're not particularly concerned about our funds being seized or anything like that. I mean, first we'd have to be breaking a law for that to really occur, and we've been very mindful of the laws as they exist today, and the sort of platform that we're building, it's not a guaranteed buffer, but it definitely serves as enough of a buffer that by being mindful of the laws, being mindful of regulations, being very forward with regulators and making ourselves available to them, we're not too concerned about our funds being seized. But I think we will have a contingency fund of crypto that's held in a multi-signature wallet. But you know, I think general legal action may concern us more. I think them taking our money would be less likely than a protracted sort of legal battle over the legality of a decentralized prediction market, and then who in fact is culpable in such a market, because we have no ownership of the system.
I totally understand that. Wait.
I hope that wasn't too wordy.
Wait. But Joe, you see, we're going through this too right now locally. We're trying to get our heads wrapped around DAOs and dApps. And so, yeah, you're right. You don't have any ownership in theory, but by creating it, you have culpability. And have you guys explored the option of moving to other jurisdictions around the world? Have you guys explored other jurisdictional legal aspects? Like, are there jurisdictions you can move to where there is no extradition to America? So if you guys are breaking a law in America, you don't have to deal with the repercussions. Are you guys thinking that far ahead?
We've thought about everything, and we've had discussions about that, but we've pored over the law, and really we've scrutinized it closely and determined that there are no laws that we are in fact breaking. Now, of course, the laws can always be interpreted in new ways by the wrong or right kind of judge, depending on how you're looking at it. But we've got one of the best law firms in the country for this stuff. They've examined this very closely, and we're very confident with kind of our legal status. We've decided not to kind of pursue a for-profit at this time until we have a bit more clarity. But building this open source software as part of a non-profit, it would be a very hard legal case to make against us, and it certainly wouldn't lead to us going to jail.
Joey, do you have any fears of legal? Do you have any legal fears?
I guess my thing would be with that last question. So if you look at the way prediction markets are regulated, going to another jurisdiction doesn't really help. And the reason for that is the organization in the U.S. that regulates them, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. So if you look at the way they're regulated, in the European Union, they're regulated as gambling companies. So if you look at Betfair, they have a gambling license. They don't really have any commodities licenses or anything like that. In the U.S., it's the other way around. The CFTC regulates them. And so the interesting thing about the CFTC's jurisdiction is it's, at least according to their point, since the U.S. is such a world power, in most practical intents and purposes it is, a worldwide jurisdiction. So no matter where you're at or where you're operating from, the CFTC still has jurisdiction if you have anyone who's U.S.-based using your platform. And additively so, since we're U.S. citizens, it's kind of a moot point to kind of try to, incorporate in a foreign country to try to evade a law or something, especially when we don't think we're breaking any right now. So the main thing is really, from my perspective, is to just make sure that the CFTC doesn't misunderstand how the platform works, because that would be the worst issue is if the agencies that regulate prediction markets didn't understand how Augur worked.
Yeah, that would be the most dangerous situation, is they misinterpreted the software and then prosecuted us for doing something that we weren't. Although obviously in court we'd be vindicated, but it's why we're being proactive with regulators and really kind of giving them the information that they need so that sort of misunderstanding does not occur.
Interesting. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, so you mentioned regulation. Do you control the software and the protocol, as it were, to the extent where you could be forced by a regulatory agency to change the protocol, to change how people interact with it? Or is that autonomous once you've written it and set it in motion?
Once we set it in motion, it's autonomous. So the way updates work with dApps, there's two ways you can do an update for a dApp. You could say, one, let's just do it like Bitcoin, where there's a set of developers, they have push access, they push it in nodes, decide whether to update or not. The way we kind of approach it is we say, well, let's basically just have the reporters vote on whether they want to accept a code change or not. So if someone wanted to force me to push a commit that basically shut Augur down, I'd probably push the commit, right? But the reporters would very easily be able to reject that commit and not accept it.
Cool.
Sorry, I'm taking questions here from people online. Kazanomics had a question, I guess. He's just typing it out, but he was commenting earlier about the the CFTC ruling and altcoins and Bitcoin are to be treated like a commodity. I guess what do you guys see this having an effect on the altcoin space in the next 12 months and being in terms of regulation?
I mean, when you start issuing currencies, whether they're currency or a commodity, you need to be kind of mindful of the laws that exist. I mean, this is why we have been very thoughtful about what reputation is, how we kind of explain it to people, and making it so it doesn't fall under the definition of a currency or a commodity. And that's been very important for us, but I would definitely encourage anyone considering issuing out currencies to be very careful about what they're doing, because there are a lot of laws in place. Like, this space it's not the Wild West anymore. You can't make it like an altcoin and pump and dump it, not necessarily expect there to be no ramifications. I mean, there was a day and age when you could do that, but I think we're past that point now. So it's really about being mindful of the laws in the jurisdiction that you live in. I can't emphasize that enough.
Oh, I think regulation's good. It kind of brings more legitimacy to the space every day. So you guys aren't looking into any of the Ethereum clones right now to seeing if you might need to port your code at some point?
Not really. You know, I've been so focused on, like, for one, we've been really busy with the sale itself, and then two, I've been really busy with scalability. So I haven't really had much time to pay attention to things like that. I mean, I saw one fork that was like basically like Bitcoin XT, but for Ethereum, where they're just like, well, let's make the block limit 10 times bigger. But it seems kind of pointless to me, because if you look at Ethereum, it has a dynamically adjusting block sizes already, which is, you know, if the block's start to get full, the block limit increases naturally. So, and then when, you know, it's choosing between forks, it's kind of like, well, what I want some group of developers who just forked Ethereum to basically entrust them with scaling the system, or what I want to go with, you know, Vitalik and his team. And the answer there is pretty obvious to me, at least at this point, is Ethereum proper.
Okay. Well, looks like we have Kaz joined us now in. He wanted to ask another question, I guess, on the potential abuses of the platform. We'll see, maybe he's got his mic ready.
Kaz, you're on mute. There you go. Nice.
Hey, man. What's up, guys?
Welcome, Kaz.
So I had a question, like, you know, I like the predictive platform. I was a big fan of InTrade. Let's say with this decentralized platform, somebody decides to try to utilize it, like, because criminals are always the first to seize on new technology, and what this would mean to your team. What if somebody put a bet out that somebody would die on your platform in order to facilitate a hit through your smart contract? What would you do then, and who would be responsible?
Joey, do you want me? I'll take it. This is a obvious question that comes up because, you know, Jim Bell's assassination politics was this big thing in the 90s of this, like, prediction markets or markets for assassinations. The way our system works doesn't really enable that, because we have three options when you're reporting on the outcome of events. One is yes, the event occurred, no, it didn't, or ambiguous, indeterminate, or unethical. And so if there's a market for, and those markets resolve at 50 cents, and so if there's a market for someone's assassination or death, that most likely, if you're reporting with 4,000 other people, you may personally believe that that assassination market is ethical or moral, but assuming that the majority of other reporters are going to report in what they believe is an ethical manner and mark that assassination market as unethical, you're going to do the same thing because you don't want to lose your reputation. And what this means for the market itself is that the only price that makes sense in the market is 50 cents at all times. Because if the price is anywhere else, it's pretty much just a financial incentive for anyone else to bring the market to 50 cents, because that's where the market's going to resolve. So there's no financial incentive for someone to undertake an assassination based off of the prediction market, because the odds are always going to come out at 50 cents.
I see. Okay. And then on the CFTC thing, if your coin's trading on any of the altcoin exchanges here in the States, with the United States citizens touching it, isn't that going to expose you to their regulation?
It's going to expose those trading it, perhaps. But that's not, like, it doesn't have any of the attributes of a currency that are necessary to kind of categorize rep as a currency. So anybody can sell anything, but once we've issued it, that's kind of outside of our jurisdiction.
They're blanketing all altcoins as like a commodity though. They're sweeping the whole thing up as one thing.
Right. But the thing is that the difference about rep from other tokens is that if you don't use it every 8 weeks to report on the outcome of events, or you're dishonest in your reporting, you lose it. And so that's a very key distinction that separates it from these other coins. Because
so it has a short duration, has a short lifespan.
Well, it can have a very long lifespan if you use it, but because you have to use it, it's this interactive token that's necessary to maintain the software. It can't be seen as a currency, because a currency is supposed to be something that can be a store of value, which this absolutely is not.
Can they put it under the umbrella of a derivative, like an option that has a short lifespan?
Based off of our conversations and the way we're moving forward, we're very confident that rep is going to be treated in a thoughtful and kind of really well thought out manner. And I have a hard time believing that the CFTC or any other federal agency would be so callous as to totally neglect our outreach and just try figuring this stuff out on their own, when the team that built it is totally willing to talk to them and explain how exactly this token works. And this is why it all comes back to being mindful of laws and regulations. Because if you are thoughtful and you do reach out, I think things will work out. Now, this is pure speculation. We don't really know. But
I would say this: government regulators are not mindful, and nor do they care. They will sweep you under a rug if they can. That's all they do. There's Mr. Aceonomics. This guy is going to ask you some good questions. But yeah, as far as regs go, I would never approach the U.S. government and regulators in a thoughtful manner. Those guys are cut and dry. If they can sweep you under X law or Y law, they'll do it. And
if they want
capital,
to,
they will.
Yeah, if they want to. We're trying to not give them a reason to want to. Unfortunately, we have a few federal agencies that are huge fans of what we're doing, including the Department of Defense, DARPA, and the CIA, which are all quite influential agencies. So you can go to the CIA's website, and they have a really long essay on why public prediction markets should be allowed to flourish. I've spoken to folks at the DoD that are very excited about Augur. So yes, I can appreciate the wrath of government. I'm good friends with Charlie Shrem. Like they can be very vindictive, but if you work with them and you really attempt not to break the law and are mindful of the laws as they're written, typically can work out all right.
Cool. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Thanks, guys, for that question. So we got another question from our resident Etherhead here.
Yes, North Joe, how are you finding developing for Ethereum? Are you hitting gas limits? Are there any features you're particularly wishing that were added? How's it going?
So let's see. We used to be hitting gas limits like all the time months ago, but we're not really having that issue anymore. Mainly due to, well, one, they raised the gas limit because it used to be like 1 million anymore. We've kind of changed the way we've done things, basically being mindful of how the system will scale. So we don't really want it to run into any issues like Bitcoin where there's like some hard limit or something like that. So we're kind of like switching to basically lazily evaluating things. So if you're a reporter, your reports are basically to calculate the outcome. It's lazily evaluated now. As a reporter, to claim your proportion of the trading fees that you get after reporting, you have to do it manually. It's not just all done automatically by the system. And it's still really cheap. Like it costs you like tiny fractions of a penny to do any of these transactions. But the point is that you basically can't cheat the system anymore by just in the early days you could make 100,000 rep accounts and just get that in the main consensus algorithm and the system would stall. And so we've kind of switched the way we've done things. As for features, let's see. Not off the top of my head right now. I'm pretty pretty good with what we have now with the core features of Serpent that exist now. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
I mean, as the markets become larger, are you sort of concerned about any upper bounds on how much can be done in a sort of block's worth of Ethereum processing? Are you looking forward to that, or are you not anywhere near those limits?
So we've been paying attention to that. I basically did some napkin back calculations at launch one day, and we can kind of scale to around like $5 or $6 billion a year right now with the current limits. And then if the block size, we can probably assume that the block size could probably increase by about 4 times, and nothing catastrophic would happen. So that gets us to like 20 billion. And so we can kind of get to around $20 billion in volume a year before like any other scalability features need to be implemented on Ethereum, which is nice and gets us. I think it'll be a while before we, if we ever get there. So that's a nice long runway for Ethereum to scale.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So we have Ace in the room, our original guest. Ace, how you doing, bud? Silent as usual.
That's okay.
So I had another question based on the reputation in the Crowdsale. Do you guys have you allocated like 1 million rep and then it gets diluted based on how many people are buying, or is it created based on how many people are buying?
Let's see. I mean, I would look at it as it's diluted based on how many people are buying. So if there's $100 in the pot and you throw in another 100, you would own half the rep.
That's supply rather than set price.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of wanted some people didn't like it, some people thought it was cool, but we kind of wanted to force the free market price. Our whole project relies on the free market pricing thing, so we thought it'd be kind of cool if we forced the market to give a price of reputation. And so what's kind of neat about this is you can kind of calculate how much volume the market thinks the system's going to get, over time discounted for some factor. And so if you assume a really steep discounting rate, just again some napkin calculations, assuming a 1% trading fee on average. At the current amount we've raised, the market kind of assumes that there'll be $1 billion on Augur in volume within the next 5 years. It's just kind of a cool thing to play around with calculating that.
I want to know who came up with the name Augur. Oh, Jeremy, you're on mute.
So it's actually a funny story. We were just looking through words that meant to predict the future, about forecasting, and I came across the word augur, and I really liked it. Just simple, 5-letter word. It's uncommon. It felt like a word you could turn into a verb, like just augur that. And it is a verb, and I liked it. There were domains available, so I pitched it to the team, and because we had 2 guys from the Midwest who were thinking of augers, like AUGER, the sort of drill. They're like, that's a stupid name. Everybody's gonna think we're just a drill company, and we just totally dismissed it. and then we were still struggling for a good name, and then one of our advisors suggested it. We revisited the term and came back to it and decided that it was in fact a good term despite the potential confusion. And to be realistic, really people either are like, how did you come up with that word, or you're like a drill company. So the guys weren't wrong, but the word does mean to forecast or to predict the future, and we believe, assuming that Augur is successful, people will quickly come to associate the word with predicting the future and with forecasting, which is what it means.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. I just got a comment here from Bill from Bittrex that I thought would be worth mentioning. Prediction markets for fun is okay, but prediction markets for profit are generally illegal in terms of the law. I felt that was probably worth mentioning. So I think we have Ace back here. Ace, let's see if your mic's working this time.
Well, let me respond to that. I do understand that for-profit prediction markets are regulated. They're not illegal. They're just regulated entities, and the nature of these is that operating them and providing liquidity for them is illegal. But creating a platform for it's just like torrenting or pirating music or films is illegal, but creating BitTorrent, the software platform for torrenting, is not. It's the same thing with Augur. There are totally legal predictions that you can make in the United States. You can create a prediction market for the weather. That's totally legal in the U.S. You just need to be mindful of the laws. But we're just building the platform. We're not operating the markets. And that's what makes us distinct from prior iterations of prediction markets.
So when you say that, though, Jeremy, it made me think of Silk Road.
But Silk Road, he was directly profiting from and he was hosting the servers for for pretty much an online drug bazaar. We are creating a software platform for prediction markets, which are not inherently illegal, whereas selling and distributing narcotics is in fact illegal.
If anything, you should think of Open Bazaar, not Silk Road.
Right.
And Open Bazaar has been funded by two of the most prominent venture capitalists in the world.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you on that, and thank you. That was a proper retort right there. Proper.
So regarding the whole hello, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Working now.
Welcome.
So I understand that currently you guys are pursuing a non-profit model, and that is kind of what makes it okay for now. So are you guys in the future considering going the for-profit route?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was something that we were eager to do sooner rather than later, but we realized that without greater legal clarity, it just wouldn't be thoughtful of us. Like we said, it's all about being thoughtful about the laws and the regulations, and what we want is to create very precise legal clarity regarding this platform, and so that means working with regulators for a little while, working through the issues, explaining this, and making kind of the legal parameters of this platform very clear before any of us in particular pursue a for-profit, because if we don't have that clarity, that's how we really become prone or vulnerable to trouble, is if we start making money off this platform without having real clarity on what the value, on what we can and can't do is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really just being mindful of the laws and working with regulators, get to the point where hopefully in the future we can create for-profit technologies and commercial applications for the software, but we're just not rushing to it because that would just be very short-sighted.
Uh-oh, did we fuck it up? Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Oh my god, okay, god. There was just that infinitely long pause that scared the shit out of me. Alright, so where are we at?
So that was Ace's question.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay.
For the reputation, is it going to be tradable soon? And do we have any beta applications or something for developers to start digging into?
So as for when it'll be tradable, that'll probably be sometime after launch, which is sometime next year. We have a goal for a actual beta of our platform, which is aiming to be more or less feature complete by Christmas. And if you're a developer interested in checking out the platform, there's probably two things you'd want to look into. There's our developer documentation for our JavaScript API, and that's linked to on our website on the top right, I think. And then our GitHub page is just github.com/Augur project.
So I have an actual question regarding the whole creating a prediction market. So due to regulation and stuff, I understand that in theory anyone can create any question and create a marketplace for it about any issue, right? But because of the tricky nature of certain things, let's say just for example, the assassination of a political figure, because those can have much bigger ramifications to it. Would you be kind of forced due to regulations to almost limit the nature of certain questions and certain marketplaces that can exist?
Joey.
So I mean, the thing is, we don't really want to limit anything ourselves, because then that means that we're kind of like actually administrating the platform and would want to make us a point of failure. And two, so the kind of what we're sticking with is allowing the reporters themselves to do it. And so if you look at the like quote unquote unethical option to basically report that something's unethical, the way reporting works is it relies on this idea of Schelling points. So a Schelling point is the answer people tend to come to in the absence of a lot of communication. So if you have a question about an assassination market, the Schelling point across most cultures should be that that's unethical. You know, some people think that's ethical, like Jim Bell, for instance. But as first things that are like universally unethical, you have pretty much murder and stealing's generally considered unethical across most cultures. So any markets related to those, the Schelling point should be unethical. So basically, it's
so you would be hoping that they would not do it because it's not ethical, but it would still be possible outside of your control.
Well, not hoping that they wouldn't do it, but hoping that if they did do it, the reporters would say that it's an unethical market and basically just return the funds. Is kind of how it works.
So it would be dependent on the majority of reports, the consensus of the reporters and how they think. So the reporters would
exactly
regulate every aspect of Augur then.
Yeah, more or less, the reporters do kind of regulate the system. They regulate that aspect. They regulate whether an update is made to the software. They're kind of the final arbiters.
So regarding the whole rep thing then, so since rep is essentially the consensus protocol that Augur is using, then does that mean that what is the requirement? Is it is it also, can it suffer from 51% attack? Is that the threshold that you need to reach before something is passed?
So the threshold we use is it's 65%, and if it's not met, we kind of just basically push it back and have the be re-reported on in the next period. But it's essentially the same problem. In any system, you have a 51% attack threat. There's a couple ways you combat this. One way is to say, let's have everybody report on something. If that fails, then you can basically fork the network, and one set of reputation will have a higher value because that'll be whatever actually happened, and the other set would have a lower value. So it's like a hard fork, essentially.
Okay, that makes sense. I see. So basically, the kind of the silver lining to that is, the big meaning, the takeaway is basically 65% is the number you need to reach for consensus to occur for rep.
Yep.
All right, understood.
Huh.
So essentially, I guess that's kind of one of the great aspects towards it, but also one of the weaknesses, that it is also dependent on the consensus of the rep holders.
Yeah, that's right. And it's kind of like it's a trade-off you kind of have to make. The trade-off is between, so one, Ethereum doesn't have internet access, the contracts themselves don't. So your options are basically, so you can't just pull CNN's API, which some paranoid people say it's not trustworthy or something, but for the most part, it's something you can trust. But in practice, you can't do that. So you either have, distribute this amongst a bunch of people and have them report on it, or you say, let's have one or two people give the answer. And the problem with having one or two people give the answer, you really need to be assured of the security ahead of time. So if I give a wrong answer and the payout already happens, it's too late for anything to change. Whereas with reporting, we have this whole set of incentives set up to ensure that you can, as long as the system has enough reporters, you can trust the security of it at any given point in time.
All right, I have one question. I guess it's more of a specific event that could possibly happen. So let's say that there's a prediction market for a specific event, and then the results are in, and then the payouts are made. But then later down the road in time, we find out that for whatever reason, it actually it wasn't right.
Right. So in that case, you're kind of left with the same problem that happens in a real world prediction market if that happens, which is pretty much basically those people kind of get screwed. It's really what it comes down to, because the way it kind of works in Augur is you have the first set of reporting, and they have two options. They can say it's indeterminate, or they can report on it. And then if you think it's wrong, you can place a bond and have everyone else report on it. But if it's something like where in the real world, everywhere reports that X happened, and then 6 weeks later you find out that the election had voting fraud, and Y actually happened instead. Most of the time, one set of those people are going to be out of luck. It's kind of unfortunate, but it's just kind of the way it works.
I got a question, I guess, in terms of contract parameters and whatnot. For all these, they all seem to be sequenced around time, but like, how are you guys, I guess, reporting time in your system? Are you going off of block number, or do you have oracles that are basically saying, hey, it's X time right now? Because that would be my reputation, maintaining oracle.
Yeah, we just go based off block number. So,
Good.
yeah.
That's totally good. The block number thing is very interesting. It's almost like this is Star Trek time evolving right now. Stardate block number frickin' 7847047.
Well, it'd be BC and AD, except it's before Genesis block or after Genesis, so BG or AG.
And then it'd be before Ethereum or after Ethereum.
All depends on what is going to be the one chain if we do go to one chain.
The chain is going to be Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think so.
That would be always our number one Uno chain. It's like amoebas that evolved into lizards and fish and then crawled out of the water into birds and humans. So guys, tell us what you guys do for fun. Joy, when you're not, thinking about X's and zeros and ones, what do you like to do when you get outside? Do you guys go for ice cream and gelato, or do you ride around on motorcycles? What do you do, Joey? What's fun for you these days?
So, my favorite thing outside of Augur is probably horseback riding. I used to show horses when I was younger, so that's one of my favorite things to do.
Very nice. And to our hookah smoking, hookah eating friend, Jeremy, what do you do for a good time, bro?
Joey moved out of the house, and I have too much fun. So we'll put it that way. I just got this awesome app that I recommend anyone to check out. It's called Jukely. It's $25 a month, and you get unlimited free tickets to concerts in many major cities all around the country. In San Francisco, I've been to 3 awesome concerts in the past week. And today, after this, I actually had to delay the trip, but I'm going to this like EDM music festival in Mountain View. It's like $200. It's called Beyond Wonderland. Got a ticket for free with the app. It's really amazing. For 45.
What's
for
the name
40.
of the app again?
Someone's browsing it right now. Alex is browsing.
Yo, man, I got it up right here.
It's called
Jukely, like jukebox, but with LY on.
Jukely, hey?
And it is awesome. It is a game changer for my social life. I do the $45 version, so I get +1 to every event. So I can always bring a friend, find a girl on Tinder, want to go to a concert.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been really awesome. I see a lot of live music. When I'm not traveling for Augur, I do try to relax a bit, but as Joey will tell you, I'm not very good at relaxing. So I'm jumping around. I'm on the advisory board of a few different companies that I really enjoy working with. There's a really cool one called Trees Delivery. You may have seen it. Bitcoin weed drones. There's a weed delivery service. I work really closely with those guys. But this is a fun town to be in, and I just like to go out and adventure. So I stay active.
Cool. That sounds fucking rad.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to say, Joey, I love your apartment. It looks very nice. But I also want to say, Jeremy, your trim on the upper part of your wall is exquisite. And you've matched your frame. Yeah, very nice.
Well,
very nice. Yeah,
you know what that is? That's an original Dr. Seuss print.
That's
Okay.
That's very nice.
I got this on an app called MoveLoot, and it's a Lorax original print, 1 of 1,500. Dr. Seuss is actually from the town next to mine in Massachusetts, and so there was always a gallery I went to when I was younger, and I always wanted one, but one of these original prints, they cost like no less than $800, and I got an email from the startup. They were like, this just in, they do like one a day, and there was an original Seuss print, and I was like, and it was for $100. I was like, oh my God, gotta get that. So I snagged that up, put it up on the wall a couple days ago. So thrilled with it, really awesome.
That's a nice piece.
It's like a life art acquisition goal. That probably my only life art acquisition goal, and it's fulfilled at 23. So I'm a happy boy.
That's hilarious. When you said that, Alex said, "Well, we gotta show you our little freaking new acquisition."
Yeah, we
That's
got
right
this puppy
there.
here.
That's a Dr. Dre fucking
The Friday soundtrack.
gold record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We picked that up like 2 or 3 weekends ago, and
Yeah.
sitting proudly on the wall.
Yeah.
That is a snag. That's really good. We don't actually have enough good art. Definitely got to fill up the crypto castle. Maybe get some Bitcoin themed art, Ethereum themed art. Who knows?
That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, art's important, man. You know, even Rob here is a very accomplished digital artist. He's from England, you know,
Yes.
where people make really fancy things all the time. Yeah. So I guess it's almost time to wrap her up. We got any last questions, please, gentlemen?
Yeah, Ace, you got any questions, or Rob, or
Greg?
No, I think we'd explain.
No.
are you guys dumping your Ethereum as soon as the crowd sale's over? Because it looks like someone's already started.
No. We want to have no effect. We want our sale to have no effect on the price of these of Ether and Bitcoin. So we're being very careful to find good counterparties, doing over-the-counter trading, not trying to lead to any sort of dumping. And we've been very mindful of that because, you know, we obviously could. If we sold all of our Ether, it would just cause the price to collapse. So we would never do that.
That's hilarious. That is so hilarious.
So
We have so much Ether. We're just fucking ballers, man.
Yeah, we won't hurt your holdings, man. Don't worry about that.
That's good. That's cool.
All right. So on the show, we actually do our own little prediction market, yeah, we Freddie, you can pull up my screen.
Whoa, your screen.
Yeah, we do every show. We have our guest predict the price of Bitcoin, yeah, we did a show last week Tuesday with Kaz, who was in earlier, and Ace, who's in now, and Sheeb was our winner of the price prediction.
Sheep, is that freaking Cam?
No, this is one of the guys from the HQ,
Oh, yeah.
Sheebmita.
Oh, yeah, cool.
So he guessed correctly at 236 or 237 like a week and a half before. So we continue this tradition every show. We want all of our panelists and guests in the audience here to guess what the price is going to be on our next Blocktalk show, which we are doing one Tuesday, but let's go next Friday night at 7. So, geez, Ace, if you're there, why don't you kick us off?
Let's see. Let me pull up the chart real quick. Give me a second. Why don't you start it off, Alex, and I'll do second.
I'll start. What's it at right now?
Right now it is at 234.
Okay, I say 244. That's it. It's easy. See?
All right.
What about you, Rob? You got any ideas?
242.
242. Okay, there we go. There's two predictions right there. Alex? Come on. Just do it.
250.
250. Somebody once said that thinking gets in the way of creating.
Oh, yeah?
So just throw it out there, boys.
I'll go with
Jared, what do you
241
think?
then.
Okay, so we got Joey here. Joey, what are you saying? Was that
240.
240? Whoa, we got a grouping here right
The
now.
consensus is emerging.
Jeremy, what do you think?
Well, the rule at Augur is whatever I predict the price will be, expect the opposite. So I'm gonna say 100 and hope we hit moon.
That's cool. Go Moon.
All right.
And trading Ace, we're back to you, dude. Your last
With 231.
231. There we go.
31.
We're wrapping this one up.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, it has been a slice. Get it? A slice. It's been a slice. Yeah. All right. Joey, have a great day. Jeremy, have fun at the show. Trading Ace, good to see you every week. And we are out of here.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, check out the crowd sale till October 1st, and Block Talk next Tuesday with Kaz and Ace and all those guys.
It's called Tinfoil Tuesday.
Yeah, Tinfoil Tuesday. I think it's
Tinfoil
probably
Tuesday.
going to be the name we'll stick with.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, to the boys at Augur, thanks again. You guys have a beautiful night.
Thank you
Ciao.
for having us.
Thanks for having us.
See you in the next $1,000 bucks.
Love you guys. That's it. We are